Stop practicing aimlessly and do this instead. In this video, you'll get clarity in the area of drumming so you can progress faster and make your dream group. And these ideas in this system is what made me make my dream group by the age of 19. So up top, we have mastering marching drums. And then our two foundations are our musical foundations and our technical foundations. And so first we're gonna talk about our technical and then we'll jump into our musical. Under technical foundations, it's simply just technique and timing. Okay, we're gonna talk about technique first because if we can't hold the stick right and we can't move the stick in the correct way, then none of the other things matter. So let's talk about technique. And really what it comes down to is 6 foundational movements. So this might blow your mind. It blew my mind when I kind of figured this out. 6 foundational movements: single, double, triple, and then controlled, which is like a downstroke, single, double, triple. Anything that you play is just a combination or one of those 6 things. And so let me explain further. So what that means is anything that we play is going to be 1 note, 2 notes, 3 notes on either hand, and then downstroke 1 note, downstroke 1 note, downstroke 2 notes, downstroke 3 notes. Anything that we play. I tried playing everything and, right, this is just 3 notes, right, 2 and 3, right, 1, 2, right, 1 and 2. Anything that you play, if you can master those 6 movements, you essentially unlock basically everything that you're gonna play. Under those 6 foundational movements, all we need to do is worry about our finger and wrist. So if we can elevate our finger dexterity and have a nice wrist movement, all those 6 movements that we're gonna play is just a good byproduct of us having good finger dexterity and good wrist control. That's essentially it. And so how I would practice that is essentially going down each finger, just making sure that all my fingers are very movable, right? Especially with the left hand, because since the left hand is a little weaker, you want to make sure you can go through each finger and you can actually bounce the stick at a constant tempo for a long period of time, right? You also want to be thinking about bouncing the stick with your wrist. So now if we can get the finger bounce, then when we add our wrist, we shouldn't really be interfering with the stick and just letting the stick rebound to its maximum potential. So let's go to timing. And so under timing, we just need to have these 3 in line, which is basically the met, your feet, and your hands. So the feet being to the mat and then the hands being to your feet, kind of creating this synergy between all 3. And then under that, we have macro and micro timing. So I don't know if these are clearly defined. Honestly, these are just words I came up with, but let me explain a little further. So with macro timing, we're gonna essentially keep the same rhythm, whether that be 60 notes or triplets, and we're gonna try to play around by not eliminating any notes. So if we have 60 notes, we're gonna try to see if we can maneuver that rhythm in different ways that affects our timing, right? So for example, if we can play like 60 note grid, right? That's not changing anything about the rhythm, it's just adding accents. Or changing the sticking to the rhythm, right? Right? We didn't change anything about the rhythm, we just are changing the stickings. One thing I'll also add to this, even though I was sitting down, I was stomping my feet, you really want to make sure that you're standing up when you're practicing and really utilizing your feet, because there's so many times, even in my life, where there was things where I could play with the mat, but when I added the feet, it was a completely different story. So it's really important that you add the feet as a reassurance to your timing. And with micro timing, it's essentially what we did with macro timing, but now it's eliminating notes. So what I mean by that is we can play grids and we can play all these different timing exercises, but now we're gonna start eliminating those notes. So instead of playing 60 note grid, we can play like 60 note timing, where we eliminate the we eliminate the and, eliminate some notes so that it can create this kind of timing-esque thing. Right, so does that make sense? Like, we are gonna eliminate notes so that we can create kind of a timing exercise out of that. And so let's jump to our musical foundation. So these are the things that once we have our technique and timing that we can actually think about, because we've kind of filled those voids that we don't need to think about them anymore. We can start elevating our thinking and we can think about vocabulary and sound, which is the next foundation. And so within sound and vocabulary, let's start with sound. So with sound, I put musician first. So little backstory, I went to music school and I was learning to be a music teacher. So I learned how to play really a lot of different instruments, like marimba, like cello, like violin, a lot of different instruments. And one thing that I found to be true no matter what is the idea of sound, right? So it's for us drummers, it's really easy to create sound because you grab a stick and you hit the drum. And so even a baby could do it, right? So, but with these more complex instruments like a cello and a violin, and especially a flute, these things, like to get even a good sound out is immaculate. Like I couldn't do it for the longest time. So when I put musician first, you want to have a musician first kind of mindset where the sound is the most important thing. And so everything that you do is because of the sound. So how do we manipulate the sound to create kind of a feeling? How do we create contrast? How do we even create a nice, beautiful sound? And so under sound, we can use our ears and eyes. So we actually can, since drumming is very visual, we can use our eyes to kind of match our sticks and kind of making sure that the sticks move in this kind of symmetrical way. And then we can also use our ears to hear our balance within ourselves. There's a lot of times where I play where I just literally like to close my eyes and listen to myself play. And that really enhances the sense of hearing. And I really recommend you doing that just to make sure that whatever you hear is, symmetrical and same and even. So with vocabulary, it kind of goes with our 6 foundational movements, but we're gonna add a little twist to this because vocabulary is a little different. So vocabulary in terms of what we play, the vocabulary we play, control and speed is gonna be the main predictors to all this. And let me show you what I mean by that. So what I mean by that is any vocabulary we have, whether it be like flam drags, flams, diddles, it all is gonna come down to 1 note and 2 note patterns. So we need control and speed to kind of dictate where those placements are gonna happen. So for example, let me just take a flam drag. So if I'm playing flam drags, those are just combinations of 1s and 2s, right? But what separates that from like a paradiddle, right? Paradiddles is 1s and 2s too, right? Is the control we have for those 2 notes where we can just diddle it or double stroke it, and the placement of the flam. So when we talk about control and speed, it's really the placement of those 1 note patterns and the speed of those 2 note patterns, right? So if we have like cheeses, right? That takes all control and speed to do that. And really the only reason why I made this video is because when I was in high school and early kind of college years, I struggled so much to get my foundations right because it was just, I essentially kind of built my foundations on really wobbly kind of a structure, right? So if we have a wobbly structure in terms of maybe our pianos kind of create different sounds, maybe our fortes don't create the same sound, maybe we don't like our hands, maybe our hands are stiff. These things are the most important things when it comes to drumming because, you can learn repertoire, you can learn these cool things and you can try these things, but none of it matters if we can't create good sounds, have a relaxed approach to the drum, have a musicianship kind of approach to the drum. So I really like using this as a guide to fix any of my issues, right? If I think about all my issues that I've ever had, it really stems down to all this. So if you can master all these, really like a simple version of this, then that is the most important thing when it comes to drumming. So hopefully you got value out of this and just pushing the idea of having a strong structural foundation before we actually go on and play some of the more difficult things. If you want to work one-on-one with me and take your drumming to the next level so you can make your dream drumline or dream group, click down below. What's gonna happen is you're gonna open up the link, you're gonna fill out application, and you're gonna book a call. Other than that, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.